touch somebody, find out that they understand when you tell them what you've been through.
Hello, hello, hello. What's up? What's up? What's
Good
up?
afternoon. Good afternoon.
The couple is back.
We're
The
back.
couple is back. This is a surprise to some, but not to us.
No, it's always planned.
We did so good last week. We had so many different comments, so many people chiming in and telling us that this is needed. We had a comment from one of our families that just shocked us.
Woo-hoo.
Cuz said, y'all got to keep this going because this is needed. When he says needed, we got the
He
stamp of
said,
approval for real.
the original
Thank you,
gangster.
thank you, thank you.
Salute, salute.
So when you know you got somebody in your family that's a straight killer, it comes in and tells you, listen, this is needed. People need to hear it. Y'all content is amazing. So big shout out to Cuz. He know who he is.
Yes, the dog whisperer.
Yes, yes, that's his. Yes, that's it. That's his name, the Dog Whisperer. He got his own YouTube channel with his dogs. Frenchies, it's Frenchie something, but we're gonna
JT
get it.
Frenchies.
JT Frenchies.
JT.
Check them out. Check them out. Check them out.
Check them out.
Yeah. I'm Jay Dunlap. This is my beautiful wife, Victoria Dunlap. Let's get it together.
Let's get it right.
We coming back this week just to let you know that this is gonna be the setup. This is what it's gonna be. Like I said, we had so many people just talking about relationships, things that's going on, why, and we're gonna make it happen to the point where we're gonna bring you some good content, some things to help, and things to help us all grow, and y'all can help us grow as well with your comments, with your questions. We had a few questions that we didn't get to last week. One was based off of equally yoked. Another one was about weeding out the weeds that grows up in your beautiful green grass, and that's talking about relationships. But this is the podcast of Visionaries Mentoring Program, as well as UNC. Everybody calls you UNC when you get a little salt and pepper in that beard. But I like to explain to them that the salt and pepper comes from age and wisdom and a lot of experience, a lot of things that I went through as a young man that brought this gray into my face. So it's not just something. I think a lot of guys try to dye it and do the Beijing and
The
put
yin
stuff
yang.
put stuff to take the gray out. But I honor it. I walk with it with pride. And I let my wife say a few things to introduce. Well, I already introduced her, but she can get on and say a few things.
Hello, hello. It's really no introduction to who I am. I just try to be who I am, and once you are authentically who you are, you don't need any introduction. When I'm in the image of my husband, that speaks a lot because he's not going to choose just anyone or participate with anything. So I'm going to dive in just to start off a little bit about the equally yoked versus the single season. I'm gonna do a little recap about the single season. Um, how the single season for some people who want to be married, like me and my husband, you will go through some uncomfortable um, days, nights, weeks, and months, and maybe even years. But that is your time to constantly seek God. And when you're seeking God, you're learning a lot about yourself. You're learning how things have affected you in your life and even in your childhood that you hadn't had time to really focus on or even address. And some of those things will be very helpful. And a lot of those things may make you sad when you think about all the things that you've been through. But on the opposite side of thinking about what you've been through, you can look back and say, wow, God must really love me to bring me through all of these different seasons and years of my life, in spite of what I've experienced. I think we don't realize when we're single, that's our time to kind of evaluate the environment that we have. A lot of times as women, we want people to create an environment for us, but we come with a lot of, unresolved issues. We come with a lot of baggage, and it's not just your children. Your children are your greatest asset. And as a woman, if you focus on your children, that will bring something out of you that is not normal. That strength you need, that understanding that you may need, you will be able to dig down within your soul to tap into certain things that God gave us as a woman. And so just understanding that that season is not meant for you to be miserable or feel like you're missing out on something. If you trust God and you believe that He has brought you through so many difficult things and He had you in mind and He had um, saved you from yourself. See, when He saved you from yourself, that's a different story. When He saved you from yourself, when you know you've taken God places that you wouldn't even take your friend, that He's willing to go with you in those dark places, just stay humble, stay patient, and allow God to do the great will that He's willing to do if you allow Him. So I just wanted to do a little recap. We had someone sending something, and how to stay patient and trust God in that single season. It's not punishment. Trust me.
And with men, that's your time to get yourself together. Like she said, the recap is we so many times I think we go to the next one.
Hmm.
And truthfully, that's not how it should operate. I was told a long time ago by an old school guy, and he really explained to me that you shouldn't open another door until the first door is closed. And so many times we are so busy opening up doors, searching for something. And what we need to search for is that spiritual side that's embedded inside of us that can give us that security and that comfort that we don't have to be seeking sexual gratification to be comfortable or just be in a good place while you're in that single season. Because men have their single season too. We just don't broadcast it as much as women. Women have their celebrations with, hot girl summer and
And end up being a not girl.
and it's all types of things that women get together and gravitate together, but men, we really don't celebrate a season of separation or a season of being single just because to us, I mean, to me personally, I think it's more so of a time to get myself together. It wasn't a time to party. Don't get me wrong, I went out, I got, had dinner, but I was entertaining myself more so. You know what I mean? It was more so me going out, sitting down, and that's the key. When, like my wife said, when you learn how to enjoy yourself, going out to dinner, I didn't need a person sitting across from me to have a good meal. You know what I mean? I didn't need a person with me to go to the movies. With my mentoring program, a lot of times they see me with kids. That's truly what helped me get through times of that season where you're supposed to be getting yourself together. I invested myself into children. I invested myself into diving more into the community and helping, um, picking up donations for people, picking up Christmas gifts for kids and stuff, going to churches and getting donations. So I really got into the mold of celebrating that side of me that I enjoyed to do was giving back. And that's a lot of times what's good is you take the focus off of what you're going through and you put it on something positive. So then what you're dealing with is not so strenuous. You end up enjoying something and getting something out of it because most of the time somebody else's situation is 10 times worse than yours. It's your situation when you focus on it, it starts to fester inside of you to the point where it brings out that eeriness and that uncomfortableness that most people deal with during that time of feeling like, oh, I'm single, I'm by myself, I don't have nobody. You start thinking about the past and was I this, was I that? And it's really just a time to focus on yourself and getting yourself to a better place. So to move past that, we had the weeds. Once you get past that stage, you start to try to figure out how do you wing out or separate the weeds from the beautiful grass that you have. And there are plenty of beautiful people out here in this world that's seeking someone that's going to bring that good quality and that good energy and that good spirit into their life. But how do you weed out the negative from the positive? What you think, babe?
Well, first of all, I personally think before you can weed out weeds, you can't be a weed. We,
Whoa.
I'm gonna say it one more time. In order to weed out something, you can't be a weed yourself.
I don't know, man.
No, hear me out.
You might have to get the trash out your weeds first, but you might still be a good piece of green grass.
Yeah, yeah, with a lot of work and some sunshine and some rain and a little bit of pain. But I think we must.
Yeah, turn over the dirt.
Yeah, turn over the dirt. I'll be in the yard constantly.
Yeah. We got some videos to show you too of her in the yard.
They think I'm the gardener here. But honestly, I think for one is to not be so harsh and judgmental. To see people through God's eyes. But in order to see someone correctly, you must have the vision of God. You can't have the vision of what somebody else told you. You can't have the vision of what selfishness or what you're going to get out of the situation. You can't be the beneficiary of everything. We was out shopping and looking around, and I observe. I like to talk, but I observe a lot, especially when I'm with my husband. And so I was looking at some things, and the lady was like, "Well, you see this? You got your cash with you." And it instantly like, whoa, she said that out loud.
Trying to say I was the bank.
She was the bank. And so when she said that, I was kind of shocked because of her age, but understanding that my husband is not a cash cow. He's not.
She my sugar mama.
Okay, babe. It's seriously like that's part of weeding it out. When I looked at my husband, I wasn't looking for him to be my provider, which he does. Providing for your husband and wife is not looking for an opportunity. You can't be an opportunist yourself. You can't look at people and say, oh, he got to have this. He got to have a car. He got to have a house. He got to have this credit score. Stop looking at the material things and look at the behavior of the person. Look at if this is how I'm going to meet him and this is how he's going to be, can I deal with him the way he is? Because sometimes we are so critical to others. You do one thing, now I don't like you. Or, oh, he didn't offer to do this. Maybe he want to see what you made of. Sometimes and that's a woman thing, we're taught to receive. I'm telling you right now, we are taught. I am a woman, I'm speaking from a woman's point of view. We are taught to receive, but we have to also know how to give, to be mindful, to be watchful. Everything you want, 10 out of 10, you don't even need it or you don't even use it. And that's the same way with relationships. A lot of times we see things that we want, and then once you get it and realize you get home, it don't fit you. You don't even like the color, but now you don't spend all this time and effort and energy and money into something that if you would have tried it on at the store, you would have never took it home. And so
that's a woman's side, though.
That's a woman's side.
That's a woman. That's how a woman should possibly think. But from the man's side, I need to tell you, brothers, have your stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do not need to be bringing on your extra load onto a woman. You don't need to be on her couch. You don't need to be living in her house. You need to get yourself together. Get the things that you need to make you worthy to have a woman in your life. that's something that I grew up in a way. If my money and if my situation is not right, my nephew that was on here a couple of weeks ago, he said it. Get yourself together. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? It ain't. It's getting too old to be sleeping on someone's couch. You go from your mama house to a woman's house. Why not take? And that was the old school way. A woman went to her husband. You know what I mean? He had his stuff to
Mm-hmm.
the point where when she moved out her mama house, she moved into the house with him. It was a different, it was a marriage. It was a different type of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Before I take you out this home, I'm not taking you out this home for you to go get us a place.
For you,
I'm
for
taking
you.
for you, for my
For
woman
my
to
woman to
go
go
get
find a
me a
place.
place or go get us a place to stay. No, when I take you from your mama, I got to make sure that your mother feels safe and secure that she's putting her daughter into my hands to take her out that home. So when
Mm-hmm.
she said, and that's even for older men, because we got a lot of old players that don't understand the growth and the maturity that you should have as a mature man. I spoke to a brother the other day and he really was deep and he had the right understanding. He said, I didn't he been married 40 something years. Me and my wife, we are fighting for that number. But for that man to sit and say he's always had that understanding, he said, don't get me wrong, as I was young, immature, did dumb stuff. But one thing he knew is that when I left the house, I went out to make $1 to take care of my family. He has 3 daughters. He said, one thing you got to do is make sure you show your daughters what a man is,
Mm-hmm.
because she's gonna go find something that resembles you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're a dog and you're tired and you're lazy, that's you're gonna be pissed off when you look back and say, that's the man you picked. That's who
Mm-hmm.
you. But then you're not looking at what you showed her, the quality of a man that you showed your daughter. My wife, my father-in-law, pops, he was a hardworking man.
Mm-hmm.
What did she see in me when she met me? A hardworking man.
Mm-hmm.
What did she said it last week? You know, the strength of moms, but the love and the compassion of dad. I
Mm-hmm.
had those qualities that she already seen.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that she already had on her list. And don't get the list so far fetched, like she said, that you can't achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
But always look for the different qualities. No, I'm not exactly like her. No, I'm not just like mama. No, I'm not just like dad. But I do have them unique qualities that makes me special and makes me a gift to her.
The ones you have to be able to. When he talked about the list just now, it made me think. Your list has to be something that if my husband turned 80, he still can possess those qualities. He's not going to always be young and hardworking. He's not going to always be, no, seriously.
But
But
my
I
baby did tell me that I'm gonna be 70 still looking the
still looking
same.
good, still looking good. But just realizing that as we grow older, the things that's important to us, it started to diminish because what we thought was important at 20 is not important at 40. I need to understand that if I need to go to the doctor, that for one thing, I will say, having a partner that is responsible as a man, that you have to watch not what he's saying. Listen, listen for what he's not saying. What he's not saying. That's what you pay attention to. When he's not overly promiscuous, certain things you have to pay attention to because you're going to be with that person. And so we all talk a lot. We sell ourselves for us. This is me. This is who I am. But listen for the things that he's not saying. The shyness you may like. If you don't want to be with a person that's totally, you know, this is kind of going to just intertwine with the equally yoked part. Equally yoked, a lot of people think that's a scrambled egg. They just say when you say you equally
Two
yoked,
eggs.
it's 2 eggs. No, a yoke is a piece of equipment. It looks like wood, and it fits like this, and then it goes into two circles. So if two animals get in a circle, They must have one common goal. Being equally yoked with somebody. Now, this gonna be for free, y'all. Being equally yoked is just not with my husband. I want to be equally yoked with my children and the people that are surrounding me. Because if we don't have a common goal, we're gonna start falling out. We're gonna start pulling in different directions, and that's where we go wrong at. So we're gonna dive in to being equally yoked. So you can go ahead and say how you feel about the equally yoked part, and then
the thing that she said that because it's two definitions because I literally looked it up because I really don't know the biblical side that she was talking about with the wood that holds them together. But when we looked it up, it showed that I think it was two cows or two bulls that was two oxes that was connected, and they had to be focused on going in the same direction because if not, they could break their neck by one pulling one way and one pulling the other way. Evenly yoked is when you got two. Some eggs come with two yolks inside one egg. That's evenly yoked as well. But when you crack one egg open, you crack another egg and you scramble them, that's evenly yoked as well. So understanding that most things that gonna operate together, that's gonna work in unison, you have to be evenly yoked. You can't, like my wife said, I can't hang around a bunch of guys that's womanizers and I have a different purpose. I have a different goal. Now, I do get around guys that have different visions and do things that they probably shouldn't do. And I'm that voice of reason. I'm that voice that give them that different understanding because I'm not, you're really not my friend if you're not going to accept what I have to bring. And most people that know me, they know that I'm going to give you, bro, go home, try to work it out, calm down, relax. I'm gonna give you that side that's I'm not gonna be that one that pumps you up. Oh man, let's go to the club. Oh man, let's go. No, because that's only dysfunctional to your relationship. I don't want to be a part of something that's gonna bring you more problems when you get home. Go home. An old cat in the barbershop told me he was married 70 years, 60 something years. He literally, I said, what is it? How do you do it? He said, go home. That's it. He didn't say no more, no less. I literally asked him, I said, that's it? He said, yeah, that's it. But being evenly yoked is having someone that's in your life that's that spiritual side that you have to understand. Spirituality and leadership goes hand in hand. So to be with somebody, they gotta have that same spiritual energy or at least seeking that type of spiritual energy that you bring because you both have to come together and understand that this is a leadership of unity because our children has to see that unified front. Our baby boy came and asked the other day for something and I hold on, let me ask my wife. It's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's the confusion a lot of times that everybody has that ego. Women have it, men have it. Everybody has that pride. It's like I'm grown. You are grown. She's grown. I'm grown. But if you want something to work, why not do it together? Because it makes the haul easier. We continue to try to work at doing things that interfere with us being one. And that's the hardest part of the relationship. When you can figure out it's easier. My wife say you get more bees with honey. Walking around being frustrated, you on one end, she's on another end. And she said it last week. The biggest thing about us is we form one. We're usually when we're bothered or she's bothered with me or I'm bothered, we're human. Let's not get on these podcasts and like reality TV and everything good or we're totally chaotic. No, it's going to be a certain level of humbleness and respect. And that's something that I appreciate in a relationship is the fact that don't allow your mate to take you out of your character. Because as a man, I should hold myself at better standard. And that's something that I worked hard at doing. So that's why I'm at a place where when she say pops don't hold no punches, pop give it to everybody,
Mhm.
that's only, and they're only able to accept it because they realize that he's not playing favorites. He doesn't have no, it's no separation with my boys having to get to a place of being men. That's my goal.
Mhm.
A mother is going to be a little more softer in areas at times. The baby boy, he knows that he gets more passes than anybody just
Yeah.
because. But I mean,
He gets more passes. And that's something that, like, reality in most cases, I'm not the softer one. You're the more structured one.
and y'all got to deal with us with our podcasts, our videos, our phone ringing because we're new
We
at
got
this.
kids,
We're new at this, so y'all
and
just got to bear
that's
with us. And it's
reality.
real life.
But that's the key. When you're doing ministry for God, nothing can be more important than your family. Because when you start having things come before your children and your spouse, how far do you expect to go? Ministry must start first in the home.
Definitely.
And so this is something that I thought about even doing this podcast. It's a billion people doing it. And I would never want to do something to just be doing it
For likes.
for
For
like,
hearts.
like in reality, it's sad that a lot of people are losing good friends because you are replacing your real friends and your ride or dies for social media. And when life get real, it gets real. You know, when to go back to what my husband was saying about equally yoked, to be equally yoked, I really want to specify, speaking to women, to have a common goal, but your husband is not going to be just like you. And to the men, your wife is not going to be just like you.
You don't want it to be.
Because you're equally yoked with something doesn't mean you're going to be identical. We both bring two types of spirits to represent God in his kingdom. My way of viewing things, my way of seeing things, but our belief is the same. And in the Bible, it talks about a sanctified wife can sanctify her husband. To take that literally, chew it up, and dissect it, that you can have a certain way about yourself that can cause him to change. Vice versa. Your husband can be sanctified in a way that causes you to want to change. So understanding that we can't look at people to say, oh, they don't go to church, or oh, this person don't do this. Now you're Hitler. You done beat this person down before you even understood that what God presented, because that's another thing I want to address. God presents stuff to us. So when you're praying to him, you have to know what you prayed for, first of all. If I ask God for certain qualities, he didn't force my husband upon me. He chose me and I chose him. So when we make choices, God doesn't force our spouse on us because he gives us free will. When he presents certain things in front of you, it's up to you to make the wise decision.
She'll
Sometimes,
tell you that I was running though. She
yeah,
will
he
tell
was
you.
running for his life. But just understanding that I seen a quality in him and I really didn't understand it fully. I really didn't.
Because I'm a Jersey boy.
Because I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna be honest. Like he had like from 1 to 10, he had 11. But God didn't show me like how bossy could be, or he doesn't waver because I'm his sweet thing. He don't care. And so I'm like, God, why you didn't show me all that? If I would have showed you that, you would have backed off.
The same way. He didn't show me everything.
He didn't show you the.
I asked for 1 through 10.
He didn't show you.
I left out 2 and 3. because I skipped over a couple because I didn't want to be greedy. So the ones that I wasn't specific about, those the ones that I got that say, hey, now you remember what you asked for. I gave you all those things, but I left these out. You figure that out.
Yeah, it's like it's not even about being fake, but you're like, okay, God, you didn't tell me all this. But that's how God is. Like he don't he give you what you want and what you
And
need.
what you need more so.
He's
than what
just
you
like a
want.
parent. He gives you what you need, and what you need may make you feel uncomfortable. Like a lot
It's
of people, it's meant to. Like a lot of people, they see my husband, I'm gonna say women, in admiration or how he treats me or how he behaves. Most people don't understand what it is to be around that type of turbulence every single day. And so that's challenging. The man that you feel like God has for you, he's not going to be giving you slack and pacifying you. His job is to get you to a better place. And so, speaking about my parents, I realized when I wanted someone with my father's heart and my mother's strength, I learned a lot about myself that I'm not overly emotional because my mama, she's fiery, but my father was laid back. So I was able to be balanced.
Smooth.
I was able to be balanced where sometimes people may not know how I feel because I'm not overly emotional about it. I can calm down, think about it and be more rational about it. I'm learning more as I get older why it's necessary for men and women to respect one another's differences. Like my husband had to grow to a point, and I want him to share how my protection and my covering that I had for him and still do, it was challenging for him at times because that's a part of being equally yoked, allowing my partner to play the position that God gave her. He gave me the title of his wife, but God gave me a responsibility towards him. And so I want him to share about how my wife sometimes seems overprotective or overbearing when it comes to me. And it was challenging for us because, you know, I'm never wavering when it comes to my husband, even when he wants me to. And so I want him to kind of elaborate of learning to allow me to be me for him, even the part of him that he didn't see that God sent me to be for him. So can you kind of tell him how challenging it was for you?
Let's back up, though. Let's back up.
What?
Let's back up.
What?
The challenge was for both of us.
No, I'm talking about
the challenge of you having a person, like I was that person where if I need you, that means if you're in my life, that and she said bossy. I don't consider myself as bossy. I consider myself.
Now that's funny.
I'm not bossy to the point of disrespectful.
No.
I'm kind of bossy in a way of caring and being concerned because I want you to understand that you're a woman. And I think a lot of times women have been put in men positions with working a job 12 hours, with going home, taking care of the kids, having to figure out what dinner is, having to clean up, all these different things that a woman had to do on their own, coming from a single parent home. That's some things I've seen. But I've also had the pleasure of coming from a two parent home when my aunt and uncle took me in. I seen the relationship of them working together. I seen that you never knew what was going on with them unless they wanted you to know. You didn't know if they had a spat because she'd come home and make his dinner, fix his watches. She's gonna do all the things that she know she still was gonna be his wife. So when you get a woman that's so independent, it's hard for her, but it's also hard for you because I was that type of guy. And truthfully, that's old fashioned to a lot of people. You know, a lot of people like half on the bills. You need to pay half. Can I borrow $20? And certain things that I'm not used to having that type of understanding. But her strength was something that attracted me. But it also I had to also show her, or like she said, we had to teach each other. I
Mm-hmm.
had to let her understand, I got your back. But that means that whatever you have, whatever decisions you need to make, I'm a part of. That's that's difficult at times when you had to be A, B, C, D, and E. And me being a mature enough man to understand these are the things she's going to have to go through to understand who I am. See, that's a lot of times where the friction and the breakdown comes in, because most of the time you're not going to give it the effort, but that's where God steps in,
Mm-hmm.
because you start understanding and you see the quality. The main quality I seen was how she took care of the kids, how she tended to the kids, our kids. Before the marriage in the ring, I seen the commitment, driving to go and sit and stand in line to see one of our sons, driving to college, driving. I seen the commitment after working 10 and 12-hour days. So my understanding of, I have to be patient. I'm gonna have to let her know the type of man that I am, and I'm gonna have to be patient, because a lot of times I think things are done unintentionally
Mm-hmm.
out of habit,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so used to doing these things. I never had no one that I had to check with, or not check with, or just consult.
Mm-hmm.
As a family, you're supposed to consult with each other when you make decisions. So with me being that protector and covering, that made it hard for her to be the covering for me, because I'm always that covering. I believe as a man, God puts women and children up under your umbrella, and that's your job to protect them. So I'm not going to slack on my job. I'm not going to, how they say, I'm not going to be sleep on my job. This is, I'm going to die on post. That means nothing is going to go down. I know everything that's going on within my family, whether you think I'm sleeping and nodding out on the ride, but my ears are always open. So her being my protector, I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to someone that had me and had my security side, besides my grandmother, besides my aunt, besides my uncle, besides my cousin, besides family, blood, you know what I mean? So it was so difficult, but I knew after a while, her discernment was so in tune, that spiritual side of it, that when I say she prays over my clothes, she prays over my items that I sell, she prays over my truck, she prays over every vehicle I get into. When her discernment is so keen, I went to somebody's house, to a customer, and she was like, "Don't go back there." What do you mean? I've been going there, and that's the conflict,
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't willing. She didn't explain to me what she's seen, her visions, her intuition. Women really do have a woman's intuition, especially when they're in tune with God and their relationship, and with who they want to be in your life. So me being that person, when she said, don't do it, babe, and she said, I'm controlling.
I would.
It's
I didn't say you.
same way,
I didn't say controlling.
excuse me, same way
I said
I'm
bossy.
bossy, that's
I am.
conserving, that's controlling, that's the same
I'm
thing.
bossy.
So we're two of the same. That's that evenly yoked we talking about.
Yeah, we the
We're two of the same, but you have to respect the fact that y'all are both the same. So
same.
a lot of times that won't create a problem,
Mhm.
because when you're a lot alike,
Mhm.
sometimes it creates friction.
Mhm.
So I know I'm the person that can say something that can change her facial expression. I know when she's bothered, even though she wants to act and keep moving and talk to me like I don't have no clue that she's bothered. That doesn't work. So the bottom line is, I had to get to a place within myself to get used to. Because, like I said, I started out early. I was in the streets 12, 11, 10. You know, my mother tells people I was always grown. And in a lot of ways, I do believe I probably was in so many different ways. And she gave me so much different type of freedom growing up in a city that most kids didn't have. So to have a woman um, that doesn't fight me to express her spiritual side. Your face getting out the picture, babe.
I'm trying to stretch my
I
back.
got you. I got you.
My back was just a little itchy right there.
But to have someone that has my back, that's that mentality of a man.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. You can't have, but that's what it is about relationships. You gotta have each other back.
Mm-hmm.
She gotta be able to trust that I got her beyond the fact of working, paying bills, taking care of the home. She gotta know that I got her back when it comes down to I can trust my husband. I might not trust you, but I trust him.
Mm-hmm.
I might not know what you're capable of, but I know what he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem in most relationships is because you don't have that comfort and that security, but that means you have to represent that as a man. If you're getting situations where you're not being trusted, there's trust issues and situations going on, you both have to understand that you're two people coming from separate entities and you have to bring it together to operate as one.
Mm-hmm.
You got to relinquish that right, that surrender, that, what is it, babe? The submissiveness.
A submissiveness. And that's the submissiveness. You said a lot. And yes,
My
I'm
bad.
bossy. I'm bossy. I think I'm more structured, but like he said, I'm always gonna speak from a woman. I've never been a man, don't want to be one, not interested. But you also have to, women, I'm telling you, it may be challenging, it may be some,
I
standoffishness
don't
with
mean to
it.
cut you off, but now I value that. I really do. I value that discernment.
Hmm. I think don't stop being what your husband needs, even when he doesn't know that he needs it. Because I promise you, most men that are angry, they're frustrated.
Yeah.
Because if I'm fighting in a fight, this is my sparring partner. Like he said, my facial expression can change. Nobody else can really get up under my skin to that degree. So I'm telling you, Zion is one gray hair and Pop's the other one. But it
And
is,
Jermaine.
yeah, Jermaine got his own front row. Um, to be able to give them a break. Because I don't care what type of warrior you are, how much money you can make, how strong you are, you're gonna get tired. And you're gonna need your partner to be able to get in the ring, take a couple licks. You have to be able to get to a safe place. And I think in today's society, men don't have a safe space. Women don't have a safe space, but the difference between us, we have other women. It's hard for other men to open up to create them safe spaces because soon as you think you're in a safe space, they're gonna pull that rug from up under you because of their insecurities, their ego, and their lack of respect for the God that you have in you. See, women, if we bother, we can rally up. We can make 3 phone calls, and by the time we done, our sisters don't pump us up. Men don't have that. So what I would suggest is when you're dealing with relationships, you're dealing with equally yoked, you're dealing with all these different things that you're going to go through. I challenge you to look at your 4 closest friends. And I'm not trying to show y'all my ring.
Yes,
That's just the hand. I use my left hand. But look at your 4 closest friends, and that'll tell you a lot about yourself. Sometimes we're so focused with equally yoked with our husband, but you don't realize that them set of friends you got, your husband don't even want to see them. He tired of seeing them. He tired of hearing about them. and they're not bringing you to a place of goodness. You have to be able to evaluate everything in that eyesight. It's not that I'm better than nobody, but I do choose to live in a different manner. You know, you're not gonna come and I was young. Now that I'm wiser, I understand that I got friends and I'm gonna ride. They call me, I'm gonna stop, drop, and roll. But they're at a place that they understand that she has a life, and I understand that she has a life.
And she's not that everyday on the phone friend either. They
Uh,
know that.
I'm not every day, all day, because I have to be diligently working to help with my grandchildren. Like right now, for example, our daughter, we talk about our sons a lot because our daughter is the oldest, married. She makes us proud. She decided to cut, not eat meat for a while. And so we joined in to say, we're not eating meat. And my baby was like, we just bought a lot of meat. We bought a lot of meat, but supporting, that's another part of being equally yoked with your children, because she decided to take a journey. We wanted to experience the same journey with her as support. And when I kid you not, I feel amazing. Like my energy is up. And I was like, well, what we gonna do with all this meat? And I said, well, I don't ever think that I would go back to eating meat every day. That's just one of the things to always be mindful of. You know how some people talk about having adult children. In reality, when you're a real parent,
They're always gonna be your children.
they're always your children. Don't let your kids be out here struggling mentally, emotionally, and you leave them to drown. That's unethical.
And you're judging them when most of the time you're the reason why they're struggling.
They're recovering from the PTSD you don't cause. And so just understanding that we have made mistakes and that we all are a casualty from something, but understanding I must want to strive to be better every day. And as women, I'm going to speak for women and I won't say too much more, that we must, the older we get, it's our responsibility to reach back in and give the younger women something more than what we're doing. I see a lot of disappointing elderly people that do not behave in a manner that is going to help me become stronger as a woman. Women, evaluate your friends. If they're not challenging you to be the best you, then how do you expect to attract and weed out the things that you don't want to be a part of? And see, that's where women go wrong. We allow stuff from our friends that we don't want to allow from our mates. We allow things and
Like being
behavior.
called bees and all that
Yeah,
crazy.
I ain't with none of those games.
Yeah, see,
We
right.
we we allow things and behaviors from our friends that we won't accept from our husband. So now you don't put your husband under the gun, but your friends is chaotic, emotional, keep stuff started, messy, but you find a way to deal with them.
Mhm.
Trust me, you need to find that same way, same patience to
Mhm.
deal with your husband. Now, me, I'm kind of, after so much of it, I got to tell you, I'm not with it. I can't. My mind doesn't work that way. You're not going to fill my life up with junk, because now how I'm going to operate at my highest spirit dealing with a bunch of chaos. And so just be mindful of the choices that you want to make. Make small choices. Write down the four closest people to you and evaluate
What they bring to your
what
life.
do they bring to your table.
And that's the key. You have to start looking at what people bring to your life, to your family life.
Mm-hmm.
Are they toxic? If they're toxic, you don't want toxicity in your life. That's just anything in this world. Anything toxic is not good for the environment, for your system, for your spirit. So if somebody's always talking crazy and always disrespectful and always cussing, those are the type of people that you don't gravitate toward. Now, I may have a different tone or different kind of conversation when I'm with the barbershop fellas. We standing outside, we talking trash, we having a good moment. but that's also I'm still that person, and that's to bring up a good situation. Last Saturday, situation took off, and this is something that I had to give credit to my wife for bringing me back down. And I'm very hard on myself. I'm very critical on myself because I'm always looked at. I've always tried to thrive to be that positive vessel. I've always been working on improving of myself and the betterment of who I am just as a person. And one thing I figured out is that you're never going to be perfect. That's just not realistic. Even with my spiritual journey, I had to go through so many different things, and I kept seeking certain things to bring peace. You drinking, you're smoking, you party, you're doing this, you're doing that. And I finally said to myself, I said, I haven't tried it all. Let me give God a try. Because through it all, God was still there. He was protecting me, He was covering me, He was keeping me safe. When them nights that I was in them streets, God, I really can, now that your mind starts getting clear, you can really see, like, wow,
He's always been there.
that officer that followed me home with the blue lights on to make sure I made it home that night when I was intoxicated because he knew my family.
Mm.
He didn't know me, but he knew my family.
Mm-hmm.
That time when my car was surrounded with 20, 30 officers, and I'm thinking they shoot on sight because of they looking for a robbery, and my car fits the description. A old lady came and, baby, calm down. I'll make sure you're gonna be all right. It's so many different instances where God sent his angels to
Mm-hmm.
protect and cover me. So to know that the people that I have around me, as I got older, things run out. Don't get it twisted now.
Time is one
He
of them.
can't give you so many different signs and so many different signals and so many different angels just trying to keep you safe, and you're steady ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said the other day on Facebook, um, if God if God has your back, say amen. Do you have God's back? Are you representing somebody that supports and direct young people in that direction of getting on a better path and being more spiritual, being more righteous? That integrity that most men don't have no more. We don't have the integrity of saying something and being that person that lives by it.
Mm-hmm. Women either.
That was something that I vowed I wanted. I told my wife I wanted to get a group of men. I said, but it's so hard. I said, because most of the time I'm that guy. I said, and I really can't find a lot of brothers that's more so like me, that doesn't want to go another route, but want to be in a positive vessel where I got a group of brothers, and this is what we're on. We on a whole different level of understanding how to take care of our family, how to take care of the kids up the street.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be that way. So to have a relationship and a wife, and understanding that my first and number one protection has to be over my home,
Mm-hmm.
I have to trust her judgment in protecting me. I had this, like I was saying, I got off track. Person called, I got out of control, anger, frustrated. If I was in Greenville, she would have just had to tie me down and lock me in the house. But being that we was on the road, she gave me some understanding, and that's why I say, brothers, you gotta listen to God. Gives her a different message.
And it's
That's what makes
leadership.
us women and men. That's what makes us different.
Mm-hmm.
What he gives to her to relay back to me, that's a whole different understanding. Because she had to literally, she said, baby, you got people looking at
Mm-hmm.
you. You got people, that was a test.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we mean when you're going to be tested. You're going to be tested and tested and tested. your entire life, especially when you're fighting to do the will of God, especially when you want to change the surroundings and awaken people to the different understanding of what being a godly man can look like. I don't have to look like something else. I can still be manly. I can still have that type of mannerism, that respect for myself, that level of correction that I do for myself. This is how I'm able to give it out because I'm gonna correct me first.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the situation that took place, I end up having to teach the young man that took me somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not young. He's literally probably just maybe a few years younger than me. But the
Mm-hmm.
maturity level wasn't there to the point where you attacking someone for no reason because you had an issue.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how to communicate with one another. We don't know how to respect one another. And that comes from being slaves. It really does. We never came out of that generational curse that has us bound to be disrespectful to one another.
Mm-hmm.
We don't understand that we can be polite. We can be respectful. I can talk to you in a manner that's not degrading.
Mm-hmm.
But when we go somewhere else, and most of the time we as men, that's that pride, that's that ego. That Saturday, it was my ego.
Mm-hmm.
This you contacted me, and it was my ego, and then it kicked into the pride, and that's the killer of
And
man.
then they kicked it to some more stuff.
And even though she's the one that calms me down, she's also that one that's ready to ride now.
That's
She
that
ain't
leadership.
when she sees me getting upset,
I
she
have to
grabbing
lead.
for the phone. Give me the phone
Uh-huh.
because she's ready to attack. And I know some men might sit back and be like, "Man, your woman gonna fight, bruh." When I say if I'm gonna go to war, I'd rather go to war with this soldier right here because I know that spiritual side of her, that love of God, her warrior side. Try to mess with a woman and a baby. Try to mess with a woman. Try to mess with a dog and her puppies.
Woo-hoo.
Try to,
Woo. That's
and you
another
will
topic.
see a new. You will see a whole different person. They will tear you apart.
Pieces.
So, as her husband, I know she values me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to come to a place to understand that being that she values who I am, I have to back down. I have to back up
Mm-hmm.
and I have to allow her, and I have to allow her discernment to represent what it means to be my covering,
Mm-hmm.
my overseer at times. God is the ultimate. I'm that's who leads me so I can lead my family.
Mm-hmm.
I have to surrender to God, but during that surrendering, He allows me to understand that I sent somebody of the flesh to cover you as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the spiritual form. So if you ever go too far out of control, she's there to pull you back in.
Mm-hmm. Discernment is key, and being able to be a leader. Leader is not
Just paying bills.
no. Leader is not just sex, like male leader. No. When I'm learning with God, He see us as His children. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't see us. Oh, you the man, you the leader. Oh, you want no
Mm-mm.
responsibility.
No,
Does
y'all were
not
both.
is not discriminate.
That's the evenly
Evenly
yoked. That's
yoked.
the evenly yoked.
When you see that your partner's going to the left, it's not your time to join in. Even understanding that I could be just as tough and
I'm better at accepting being pulled back
that
in.
is true. I
I
like to go keep
I, I can be
going.
I can be
I do.
pulled in with ease.
I,
I'm coming.
yeah.
I want to be I want to be pulled in.
I'm outside the game.
This one right here,
Don't want no
she
help.
don't want to be pulled in.
I don't want no help. And that's something just laughing and just this is what the podcast is for. It's for people to understand in spite of who you are and what you're going through that God loves you and
yes.
that you can't be perfect and that stop putting yourself in situations that is not godly. God is love. He has enough love for all of us. I can't sit here and sit from the place of all righteousness. I've
And it
done
brings
everything.
out the worst in you.
It brings the worst out of you because you're trying to be something that the people telling you that they're not even doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so just understanding that I have my faults, my husband has his faults, but we want people to understand that in this season, God has prepared us. He has anointed us to speak into the lives of others, to let y'all know that God loves y'all. He is here with us, but we have to believe in Him. And that if you're looking for God, I will say this: look into your life and you will see the fingerprints and the handprints and the footprints of God all through your life. If you look for him, you shall find him. If you knock, he will answer. So when you knocking and you ain't hearing nothing because you're not quiet, you're talking too much. He will present himself in your life in a way that you're going to say, God, thank you. I've been looking for you in all the wrong places. That's not just a song, that's real life. Just humble yourself
and be
and
quiet.
say, God, I need you. These are two imperfect people that God is using us. And you can see we are living proof of what he can do for you. If he can do it for us, he surely can do it for you.
Yes, he can.
So, that's my take on that. And I'm going to work on my behavior to the next week. Just don't mess with my husband and my kids, Lord. And that's the thing I had to tell my husband, that I cannot waver with what God has sent for me to do. Even when I'm sometimes in the doghouse, sometimes the kids be side eyeing me, but I must stay consistent on my love for them. I'm not going to let anyone come in between my love for my children and for my husband, my mom. I have to be consistent because when you double minded, you unstable in every way. If you see me, you see them. I'm never by myself. He's never by himself. We understand that we represent God and he always have a team waiting for us. He is the team. Stop clicking up with people to try to be something.
That's not your covering.
That's not your covering because they'll snatch it from you. So understand that whatever you need, I promise you, God will provide. He's such a providing God. If you need a friend, all you got to say is, God, I need a friend. You'll have a friend. Not the one you want, not the one you think. He'll send you some random person to love on you.
I'm telling you, that's all that'll be around me. I don't have no
friends.
People literally say, get around people that has it and got
like
more than you.
No.
Or if you want to be rich, get around rich people. Let me tell you something. And I'm about to go somewhere that I'm not just always there with the Bible, but Jesus hung around the lowest of the low. He didn't hang around the upper class. He despised the upper class.
Because you can't tell him nothing.
He did not. That he hung with the street people. He hung with the pimps, the whores, and the. Well, I'm sorry, baby. That's what he hung with.
Calm down. Calm down.
That is what he hung with.
Don't let the jersey come out. Calm down.
He hung with the worst of the worst. Murderers, killers.
But that's being able to see himself in everything, not just what.
And he wasn't no better. That's the key.
That's the key. It's no class.
I think that's what I had a brother tell me, and we going a little overtime, but I'm gonna say this and we're gonna get off. I had a brother tell me, he said, man, he said, being from up top, he said, one thing about you, you never tried to act like you was better than us. He said, Northerners usually come down here and they always try to act like where they from is so better and they so much street and they so much this and that from this and that and you this. He said, you never treated us or act that way. And I explained to him because I understand that it's a Black community everywhere. It's a hood, it's the slums, it's the projects, it's the you name it where they put us at in every state in America. So if you think that your state and your town and your city is better than someone else's, something is wrong. Because they put that plague out for every one of us, not just for the people in Newark, not just for the people in Greenville. It's all over. So to understand that you must be humble, stay patient, and like my wife said, you gotta keep praying. You gotta keep God in your life. Ask for guidance. Surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Submissiveness doesn't just apply for the queen.
Mm-mm.
The king must be submissive first. And as him submitting, he allows her to see the submissiveness that he had.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's the evening yoke. That's when we keep gravitating back to that.
Mm-hmm.
This week, like I said, we went a little farther. We had a little background noise. We washing clothes. We got phone calls coming
kids
in.
looking for us.
So
this is real life.
And that's something that we're not going to shade from. Editing, no. Everybody needs to know and see what people go through and deal with. That's why I said doing things with the Dunlaps. We are the Dunlaps. We are unifying the nomadic community. That means that's all of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're all a lost community that's trying to find our way. And prayerfully, with the voice that God gave us, we're going to help guide you and lead you to a better way of doing things, a better way of loving on one another, all these things that we need in our lives that we have lost. My ending is usually a poem. I don't know if I have do I got time, babe? My baby.
Roses are red, violets are blue. God sent me, and baby, I love you. That's it right there. That's the ending.
That ain't it. I got one for us.
That's the confidence in the Lord.
Yes, this is we talked about the Lord, but this one right here is a little deep. I like deep poems. Oh, shout out to my poem. I didn't say nothing last week. I had it posted. It got put into the book. This one is something different. Shackles and Christian has restraints over my mind. The truth lies in the midst of his story. Uncontrollable urges to punish my flesh. Diminishing thoughts destroying my rest. Late night sweat soils my sheath. Demonic battles invade my sleep. Lord, help me regain my peace. From the center of the earth that you placed in me, screaming out, save me. There's a king in me. Unspoken words of pride and resilience been planted in me. From the plantation of blood, screaming fears of our ancestors paved the way to never be afraid of life and to live amongst their spirits, to connect to the soul. Hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. Our ancestors paved the way to never be afraid of life, to live amongst their spirits, to connect to the souls of resistance. As the clouds form, the weather changes. God sends a storm filled with angels to cut the chains while covering my flesh. As the rain cleanses my spirit and replenish my dehydrated soul, God has bestowed and restored and injected a king into the bloodstream of the slave of today.
That was good.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
See y'all next time.
We're ending. We're going out. Let me see if I can give y'all a little song or a little. Y'all been seeing me singing. Y'all been seeing me loving on my wife with my singing. That's the thing. Have fun. Life is too short not to have fun. Live, love, and have fun.
So touch somebody. Find out that they understand when you tell them what you've been through.